leave without praising adoption, giving thanks for this gift. Yeah, you can call it rescuing children or something like that, adopting children. And it's a beautiful thing theologically too, because every single person here is adopted. How so? Yeah, right. Because we are born again of water and the Spirit from above. We are sons and daughters of God, not by natural birth, but by the second birth, the birth of holy baptism. So we're all adopted, and we can identify with that, right? We're born into this. We were baptized and believed into this Christian church. And it's a family, a community of saints, sons and daughters of God, now we're brothers and sisters of Jesus.
Speak a little bit about living will.
What's a living will? Is that a good definition? Living will.
Your masks, instructions.
Kind of a treatment plan in case of, and so on. And is it good to have one?
Yeah.
What? Yes? No? What would be a good reason to have one?
So they don't plug when you want.
Okay, so they don't pull the plug when you don't want them to. Okay? Good. Have that written down. Tell your kids, your nephews and nieces, your family members, right? What would be a bad reason or a bad thing to have with a living will?
I don't want to be a burden.
Okay, sure. Or like a don't resuscitate no matter what, right? Even if there's a chance to live, right? So that it would be just the opposite of that, right? To where if someone would just be willing to take your life when there's still a chance to live. Okay? So if you're going to leave your instructions, right? Search the Word of God. Look at His idea of quality of life and the fact that He decides when we live and die.
People say that they won't treat you as hospitals.
Say it again, please.
Some people say that hospitals don't treat you if you don't have a living will. But I don't have a living will. I was very ill here. I don't even ask them if I have one.
Yeah, so it's not true. They don't, that's not the same everywhere. And I've seen signs in plenty of hospitals that they have to treat you no matter what. Okay, so I don't, anyone know of something like that? I mean, they won't treat you? I've not heard of that. I certainly hope that's not the case.
Studies actually prove that doctors ignore living wills and do what they believe is best.
Okay, and they do it. So now in this case, yeah, talk to your family, but just like marriage and children, right? It's awkward, it's difficult. Talk to them, even if you're not close to that, even if you're not thinking about that yet. I want to say this. Here's the main thing you should do. Kind of give instructions for the funeral. Write it down. Tell the pastor. We're going to have it at church, right? We're going to sing Lutheran hymns. We're going to hear the scriptures. We're going to hear a Christ-based sermon. I'm going to bury it here. And maybe if you want, so-and-so can be the pallbearers, right? Do that. And don't wait. It's a great thing to do. On the other hand, with regard to your medical care, maybe don't leave it up to, we trust our doctors, and this is a good thing, and we should get ones that we trust and ones that we think are pro-life and care about people, not just regard the quality of life or productivity, but that they value all human life and so on. So get to know them and ask them about these things, and ask ahead, right? Actually ask what their practice is, and then encourage your family members and your pastor to know what's going on and to ask questions and to make sure that we're not just making a decision without your input or knowledge about your end of life.
Maybe instead of living will, like people talk about a durable power of measure science, something like that.
That's the same as the living will. The durable power attorney for your appointing somebody to make the decisions on your behalf. And the living will is where you say you do not want to be on life support, and you're appointing that person to make the decisions on your behalf.
Okay.
And general power attorney is over assets.
Okay.
The general power attorney over assets, durable power attorney and living will are the same form.
Same form. Okay. Excellent. Yeah. Did you hear that then? Yeah. Please. That depends, right? So the moment of death, right? The brain death and the heart death and so on. So that's important that we draw a clear line there. And if someone's died, they've died.
That's where the whoever you appoint on that will come in and make a decision on your behalf. You
Right. So yeah, if need be, and if you have some concern, then prepare it. Talk to somebody, write it down, have it signed, prepare it in advance, and remember that it's in God's hands, right? It's not up to us to
Always carry
end it.
one with you, travel, have one.
Or at least have someone know where it is, right?
Well, don't put it in a lockbox, because
Yeah.
don't have them, you can't get in the lockbox.
Yeah.
So you should always give it to a family member to carry one if you have one yourself in your purse.
Yeah. Very good. Please.
My mother passed away, I was sitting beside her and I called 911 and the EMT came in the house. First question I had was, is it and he was over here.
Yeah, so keep that in mind. They may ask that right away. And so talk to your family, talk to your loved ones, talk to your neighbors. Yeah, I mean, you'd like to think and assume that someone is there to give care and to help and to save your life and to do that. So you hope they'll do that. You can't control everything, but do what you can.
What did she say? If you could repeat the question.
So the most recent one here was that the EMT came to the door when
My mother passed
your
away.
mother passed away. And the first thing they asked is, does she have a living will and where is it? Okay, so sometimes they'll ask that and want to see it, they'll know about it.
Don't have a living will, then they will always try to keep you alive.
I hope so.
So that's why, that's what it's from my mom.
Good. That should be the way it is, right? You always go towards that direction. I mean, of course, they should always do that, but now it's more of like doctor-patient kind of relationship and confidentiality. It's my choice and decision, right? We're always focused on our autonomy and our ability to decide things in that way. And it really should be about God is the God of life, and He decides when we're born and when it's time to go. Any other question, comment? Beginning, middle of life, end, some of these other difficult
Did
issues?
you answer his question?
Say, what is it?
His question about if you do die, are you dead then? Because he did not return.
If you die, you are dead.
No, but that's the DNR thing. No, the DNR thing.
Yeah, DNR, so, you know,
So if you keel over, so are you dead or do you let someone resuscitate you or not?
well, if there's a chance at life, like we talked about before, then you should always resuscitate, right? If you're dead, no, I mean, you can't bring someone back into life. You say it again? Until you're brain
Is
dead.
that what you're saying? Because your brain controls your breathing.
Yeah, it's kind of moved that direction. I mean, if there's a chance to resuscitate someone and keep him or her alive, you should do it. If you're in a coma, yeah. If you're on full life support, there's no chance of you living without the food and the life support. Then you've died, right? You've died, and you're being, and yeah. So there's a clear difference there. It's difficult, but that's an important distinction to make, right? Okay. Yeah. Anything else? Okay. Well, I want to. Does anyone want to get political? We can. It's wanted to talk about there too. Yeah, or anything.
Yeah, I have a question going back to the beginning of life. Okay, so if children are a blessing, what's the Lutheranist Church's kind of viewpoint on birth control? If you're in a married, situation and children are always a blessing, I mean, is birth control an option? Is it, you like the Catholics do national family planning type of things? What's the Church's position on that? Are you seeing if you use it? Are you not? What are some of the issues around that?
Yeah, this is a very good question. With regard to birth control, or you mentioned other methods of preventing or avoiding children. Children are good gifts, so like life at all points, when we're on the side of rejoicing on receiving children. Now, whenever we say something like that, there's always jump to the exceptions, right? What about, right? You're thinking of the exceptions, and every one of us thinks we're an exception. But of course we aren't, or we wouldn't be exceptions, right? Yeah, that's the definition of an exception. So if children are good gifts, we can bring them to heaven, we want to bring them to be baptized, and we want more people in church, and we value them more than money and stuff and education and everything else, which God does, which we should too, then we should be open to big families and to quivers full of children and to homes full of them too. Do you know how many television sets are in the average American household? Yeah, 3, 4. It's almost 3. How many people? The average, about 2. The fertility rate is down to 1.8, right? It's below replacement level. We've got more TVs than people. I think sometimes value stuff more than kids. And now, historically, I say this about the church. Until the 1930s, and really until 1960, when it became legal and on the market and so on, you will not find a single voice in the Christian church that said anything positive about preventing children. Not a single one. And that should tell you something right there, right? As people who believe in the scriptures and in a God who never changes and in his eternal word, that when something has always been taught one way and then there's a brand new thing, an acceptance of a new thing, which is effectively preventing children, more than just avoiding it during fertile times, that should make us stop and think. Let me say something about the term birth control. Does birth control control birth? No, it does not. It controls conception. So why is it called that? I don't know. It's conception control. And now here's the important part. Who is in control? God ought to be, yeah. So I know there's exceptions. I know there's there's the life of the mother sometimes. And these are sad and difficult circumstances. Overall, in general, let's talk about that. We should be open to children, right? Open marriage. And because of the way our bodies work and function, we might even want to be thinking about being open to earlier marriage and having children sooner and not delaying them and putting them off. This is, for a lot of us, it's a brand new thing. It's difficult. It goes against my upbringing. I never heard about this or talked about it until very recently. And that is very sad. Because isn't this the most basic of the pro-life issues? What are babies? Are they good? Should we have a bunch of them? And it's super basic and simple. And why did we stop talking about it? Well, it's difficult, it's embarrassing. The Roman Catholics said it's wrong. I mean, we can't do what they do ever, right? I mean, they read the Bible and they light candles and they go to church. But I don't know, if it's Roman Catholic, it's... So anyway, and they do embrace the natural family plan. I just want to say in general, overall, God loves marriage and he loves babies and he wants us to have them. Yeah, we should not feel enslaved by having a bunch of kids. We should not feel like it's a burden or it's preventing us from traveling or it's preventing us from finishing our education or getting our best job or having our best life. We should see them as a gift. And if we do, and when we do, we will talk very differently about them. And we will feel very differently about them. And we will give thanks for them. And we will act in faith instead of always on convenience. And we have a lot of soul searching to go on this issue. It doesn't get talked about at all. And we got to at least talk and think about it. God says, be fruitful and multiply. He says, arrows in the quiver. He talks about them being like olive shoots around your table. I'm trying to picture that. What does that mean? But he loves babies. And let's get towards that. You know what I mean? Let's move toward that.
So I have a follow-up question then on the flip side. What about fertility drugs, in vitro, freezing embryos, all those type of things? Those types of issues that come up, where their conception has happened, in the case of embryos, what are some of the things that the church kind of instructs or the Bible, instructs about those type of things?
Yeah, fantastic questions. Thank you for mentioning those. Like everything, I'm going to give you bad news and then I give you good news, okay? The bad news is, start with the in vitro fertilization, right? So as folks delay marriage and they delay children, it's harder to have them, and they want them, but they want to have control over it. And it's like folks who can don't want them and folks who can't do want them. And so then you get to in vitro fertilization. What happens to most of the embryos that are created in vitro fertilization? Flesh destroyed, or most of them are right now frozen indefinitely. If human life starts at conception fertilization, should we freeze human beings and leave them in a laboratory? I just said that, and it just sounds, it's just an awful thing. 93.3% of the embryos created through in vitro fertilization are either frozen right now or indefinitely. How many embryonic children have either died or been frozen? 94 million. And more and more every year. Again, it's like the numbers. You can't comprehend it or even begin to think about it. So it shouldn't be an option for Christians then that you can't have a child this natural way should be created in the laboratory. I'd say absolutely not that they're being frozen in the laboratory. Even through a typical round, you have to fertilize 10 or more embryos, right? 10 or more. And 1 or 2 might implant and survive, and the rest, again, they're thrown out, discarded, or frozen. And God's the author of life. He loves life, and He doesn't want us to throw it away. Fertility drugs, good question. There's a few different kinds. It's like, think again about the contraceptive or the so-called birth control thing. You always want to make sure that you're not going to end a human life. And that there are a lot of these. And it's a small window, but you use it enough. There's always this window that you could have a human life that's fertilized and conceived, but then is unable to implant and dies, right? We're talking about tiny little microscopic human beings, and what is their quality of life? I mean, how did every single one of us start out? Can you see that? Me neither. And yet God knows and loves us. The hairs of our head are numbered, the 2 cells of the zygote are also numbered, right? God loves all people regardless of size or ability. And so with the medication, it might increase it. If it's natural, if it doesn't cause the death of the children, and it can be a godly thing. I don't know too much about it. Anyone want to offer something on that? You know some more about that? Yeah, and barrenness we don't talk about either because of this, seeing children as a cross instead of a blessing. We're too quick to voluntarily prevent them. 1 in 10, I think, right? People are unable to have a child. And the scripture talks about this all the time. Who do you know that was barren in the Bible? Sarah was, that's the first thing you find out about her, right? Abraham and Sarah, Genesis 11, that she was barren. And then you find out too about Hannah, right? And about Rachel, and in the New Testament about Elizabeth. A lot of these cases, God opens the womb and He gives a child miraculously. He doesn't always do that. He does it a few times ever. We give thanks when He does, and it's when we pray for marriage, we pray for children. We also pray for those who are unable to. We pray for those who are miscarried, right? We pray for the pain of moms and dads. We pray for people who are unable to have children and desire them. We pray that there are a lot of unwanted children. We pray that someone would adopt them and care for them, right? There's plenty of bad news, but you know what? God is still in charge. He still loves every single human life. He still places people into male and female marriage. He still loves us. He still is waiting and ready to forgive us all our sins. This is the gospel. This is the message of the church. It's for everybody. Let's get it out there. And, who else? Something else. Last call.